up, everybody? How's it going? It's Tuesday. We're getting tactical, as we usually do. And in fact, today, I'm not away at Adepticon. We're not talking about Wild 10th Edition rumors and, well, I guess not rumors, announcements and stuff. We're just doing normal Tactical Tuesday stuff. Hell yeah. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming and hanging out, everyone. Tactical Tuesday just reminded you it's bin day. I'm glad this show could be of use. You know, I'm really happy for you. Tyranids ate half the galaxy. We do have some Tyranids to talk about, chat, which I am so excited about. Microphone is, microphone's bad? What's up with the microphone? Oh, I might be on my other microphone. Ah! Yes. Okay. How's that, chat? Is that better? Does that sound better? I think that I might have been on my headset mic because I was talking in that over the weekend. So hopefully that sounds a little bit better. Yeah, how about Custodes? I don't think we have any Custodes to talk about, which is a little bit wild. That's not usually how it goes. We usually have a little bit of Custodes to go over, but today, I mean, there's a lot of Space Marines. Space Marines are kind of hitting their stride right now. Some Genestealer cults to talk about. Astra Militarum, I think it goes basically without saying. And also a lot of Eldar. Mike, 10 out of 19. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm talking into I have a little microphone in front of me right now, which is what's picking it up. Well, I don't take this one, my fancy one, when I travel because it doesn't. It's tough to set up, basically, when I go streaming. So, for those who missed it, over the weekend, I streamed a local GT. It was a 32-person GT. And it went well. It was good. You can check out the VODs. They're over on the channel. The games were pretty interesting. I think the day 2 is definitely... the first round was pretty cool, actually. The first round was really swingy, which was pretty exciting. Day 2 was pretty good as well. Especially the semifinals. The semifinals were somehow just like this insane... like comeback story, which was very fun. The players almost called it after the roll to go first, and it ended up going a different way, which is pretty interesting. So hell yeah. What's winning with a Hive Tyrant? That's why there's Tyranids. We got Tyranids today to talk about today, chat. I'm gonna do some videos. We may not dive on, or sit on the Tyranids for too long because I'm gonna do some videos on the Tyranid lists that won this week. But yeah, new Screamer Killer. Hell yeah. New Screamer Killer! I am excited. Yeah, all the 10th edition spoilers and news and stuff has been absolutely sick. I did just release a video a couple hours ago about the new articles that went up yesterday and today. I just streamed a little bit yesterday, chat, but I was mostly like... I was after this weekend because I was at Adepticon last weekend. The weekend before that was prepping for Adepticon. And then last weekend I was at Adepticon, and then this past weekend I was... streaming all weekend. I was just dead yesterday. I started to like make a video and then was like it fell apart basically. So I didn't make any update videos yesterday, but I put it all together today. So all the recent articles from this week so far is up in the video that I posted earlier today. It's super cool. All the new 10th edition stuff is absolutely sick. But we're not here to talk about 10th edition. We're going to be talking about 9th edition. The tail end of 9th. What's winning currently? We got another at least 3 months of this, right? So let's frickin' go. I think we'll just dive right in. I don't have much else to say. I got some more live streams coming up if you enjoyed the coverage from this past weekend. I have more live streams coming up on the last weekend of April. I'm just literally gonna double check right now. The last weekend of April is, gonna be, so the 29th through 30th is gonna be Warhammer Retreat. I streamed that last year. It was at a summer camp, which is super cool. And then a couple weeks after that is gonna be Wicked Dicey's Iron Weld, who is a sponsor of the channel, who I'm very appreciative of. And that's gonna be like a big 100-person GT. So a lot of GT streaming coming up on the channel. Other than that, we can talk about the lists that win those GTs on Tactical Tuesday, just like we're going to do today. So let's jump in. Firebug Open. Where is Firebug Open? this event was huge. It was like 160 players. Is this a UK event? Oh, it's Alliance Open. Okay, so it's a German event. It's Alliance. Love those Alliance guys. Those events always seem super sweet. We got Astra Militarum here. I'm going to skip the Astra Militarum list today, chat. I mean, I think we can probably... We can call it. It's like 2 to 3 Kazarkan, a tank commander, the big command squad with all the guild bullshit. The 2 special characters, Leontis and Ursula Creed. 4 units of Cadian Shock Troopers, like probably 2 units of Sentinels and 3 units of Mortars. Oh no, this one brought Combat Engineers. All right, well that's cool, I guess. So it's 2 Combat Engineers, 1 Kazarkan. Sly Marbo. Oh, we're all Sentinels this time. Okay. Running Armored Superiority. Yeah. So I think it is likely, for those who haven't seen this list before, I guess it's good that we talked about this one. We didn't skip it. For those who haven't seen this list before, if Kazarkan get the nerf bat really hard, this is probably what Astra Militarum look like. So we have a bunch of order batteries between the Marshal and the Lord Soli Leontis. The Death Corps Marshal gets the Prefectus orders, so he can issue objectives secured. Combat Engineers are just sweet. They have a 2+ poison bomb for 40 points. They're actually, and they have like a 2-shot strength 4 gun. They have like a regular Astartes shotgun, basically. They're actually really good. They're really points efficient. And then the big Kazarkan brick. And then everything else is Sentinels. So you play Armored Superiority, so your Sentinels count as extra models for holding objectives. And you play Swift as the Wind, so they can run onto objectives really easily. The Scout Sentinels can fire and fade, so like you can point objective secured at them because they're core keyworded. They're core and squadron and vehicle keyworded, and platoon, I think. So they're eligible for literally every order. So you can issue them like rerolls from Leontis. They get full hit and wounds. You can issue them the like attack bonus and AP bonus orders, and then you can also issue them objective secured. So then you can like run them up the table and fire fade them onto people's objectives, and they all count as 3 models. So it's like basically a 10 model OBSEC squad for 135 points that has plasma cannons. They're super degenerate. Sentinels are really, really dumb. So if we see huge changes to Astra Militarum in the upcoming data slate, which I think we should expect probably this week or next week. I would hope it would be this week, but maybe next week. Then we'll probably see lists like this come to the fore. They're also like awkwardly 7 wounds. At least the armored Sentinels are. Are the Scout Sentinels? So a lot of 7 wounds is probably the platonic ideal of a wound characteristic for a vehicle, because it exactly, you don't pay for 9 wounds, 8 or 9 wounds. But it exactly puts you 1 hit harder to kill from from basically every weapon profile. Besides D3 plus 3, I guess. Or flat 4, which is very rare. So like, you know, 2 damage, for example, needs 4 conversions. 3 damage needs 3 conversions. 1 damage needs 7. And those are the most common damage characteristics, so it makes it super tough to kill these models efficiently. Just pull up their data sheet real quick, double check their wounds characteristic here. Yeah, they are all 7 wounds. The armored Sentinels don't lose their pregame move, but they get the armored ability. So all is dust, basically +1 save against 1 damage attacks, and then they get an improved armor save as well. But the Scout Sentinels get... oh, excuse me. It's not pregame move. It used to be pregame move. Now it's forward deploy. Pretty dumb. I don't like them. Anyway, not surprising it went 6-0. Codex is very silly. We do have some Chaos Demons happening. Azure Yanni may quickly be coming in the skip section. It's not that interesting. Double Howling Banshee, Striking Scorpions, Triple Dire Ventures, Double Shadowrunners, yeah. Okay. Sure. If you want to, I think I stream like basically that list almost every week for T5S2. Because it feels like, I think we have a glut of Azure Yanni players. TTS, I think, tends to attract people who play fast factions because they like strong mechanics. And Azure Yanni certainly have that. So I think we attract a lot of really good Eldar players online. This list is wild, though. This is a demon horde? Holy crap. Okay. So it's a Fate Skimmer with his retinue, so he's +1 to cast. An Inferno Rapturist, Torment Bringer, and Transweaver. We're just going all in on Slaanesh characters today, I guess. We have the Warlord trait to retain Warp Storm points. You could actually, if you were to swap one of these Slaanesh characters for another Tzeentch caster, you could stack with Gaze, right? But you don't need that. You're usually going to spend at least 2 Warp Storm points a turn. You average 4 a turn. You're going to spend at least 2 to 3. So holding 1 is fine. And then we have 20 Bloodletters, 30 Demonettes. It's weird only one of them is listed with the icon and instrument. Those are free upgrades, so there's no reason not to take them. But I never listed them because I always forget to put them in my list, and then I don't even think I modeled them on my demon models. 1 Beast of Nurgle, big singleton, an Exalted Flamer, 2 units of 6 Fiends, and 3 units of Flamers. A 4 and 2 3s, alongside 8 Screamers, a 5er and a 3er of Screamers. Those are mostly to get Reality Rebels and secondary objectives, but the 5er's interesting. That might be to do damage with their Ride-By attack. Their slashing strike. The Mortal Wounds when they bomb people. It's a bombing effect. This is just wild, though. It's not all... It's like... I don't know. It's just, this is so demon-y. It is taking the triple Flamers, and it's taking a lot of Demonettes for objective holding, but it's a ton of... it's like fast damage with the Flamers and the Fiends, and then backed up by a ton of objective secured. Interesting stuff. That's cool. Corey Schultz watching on a plane? Well, I appreciate you burning your plane data to come in and watch. Gaze is on a 7. Yeah, I guess that's true. It's also like really unnecessary. I always played Gaze on a Fate Skimmer in a Tzeentch detachment, so that I could get +2 to cast, and then I would get all his powers on 5s. But if you're not doing that, it is probably a little bit too dicey. But again, you just have the Warlord trait, so you just use the Warlord trait. We do have an Iron Hands list here from Florian Schmidt. Interestingly, a Lieutenant in Reaver armor with Lord of Deceit. Do we not have a Rites of War in this list? I don't think we do. Ready? Let me look. Rites of War. No Rites of War chats! Oh my god. A single Acolyte as an agent of the Imperium. That's funny. They get character keyword too, right? If you take the singleton unit. But then they give up assassination on like a 1 moon T3 model. But I guess to be fair, you're probably not worried that much about assassination in this list. So it's a Reaver Lieutenant with Lord of Deceit, so he can redeploy 3 Phobos Marine units, which is just the Eliminators, yeah? Wild. Absolutely wild.
Mile High Club.
Hey, Corey Schultz. Thanks for the super chat. Welcome to the Mile High the Mile High Tactical Tortoise Club. It's for everybody who consummates the watching of a Tactical Tortoise video from a mile in the air. You know what I'm saying? It's Wrongs of War. That's what this list should be called for sure. It's also playing. Oh, this is so interesting. So it's playing a successor chapter. It's running Master Artisans, so the floating hit reroll, which is it's to be expected. But then Warded, so a 5+ damage ignore against Mortal Wounds. I wonder if Mortal Wounds is like really the name of the game in this metagame. That's so crazy. That's something you expect to see like in the Tyranid meta like 6 months ago when everyone was running Maleceptors, but not these days. What's doing Mortal Wounds right now? Like there's no really Thousand Suns in the meta. I guess like just it doesn't even work against Barbican's Key because they have the Finial. So, okay, fair enough. So Primaris Tech Marine with target protocols, fair enough. 2 Infiltrator Squads, the Relic Contemptor Dreadnought with Merciless Logic, Volkite Culverins, Cyclo Missile Launcher. This is the normal Relic Contemptor that comes in Iron Hands. You get it for free with your copy of the Iron Hand supplement, like they give you a Relic Contemptor. A Scout Squad, that's also quickly becoming a staple. You just get 4 sniper rifles, or 3 sniper rifles and a missile launcher, which are heavy weapons, so they get the reroll ones and ignore movement penalty for being Iron Hands. And then the Scout Sergeant has a Thunderhammer for 60 points, and they unlock use of a Landspeeder Storm, which you can't usually do if you don't have scouts in your army. And then we have an Assault Squad, just a small Assault Squad. A couple Plasma Pistols in there, mostly just to do actions, I suppose. A Suppressor Squad. Oh, the Suppressors may be eligible for the redeploy. Does the redeploy... I don't know the answer to this one, chat. Does the Lord of Deceit redeploy affect Vanguard units or Phobos units? And I would tell you as soon as I figured it out. It is Phobos units. Wild. Okay. So we're paying a Warlord trait just to redeploy the Lieutenant himself and an Eliminator Squad. Is there technology there? Am I missing something? That's so interesting. Oh, I guess also the Infiltrators. There's also Infiltrators. All right. I forgot that there were 2 Infiltrator Squads. So you get to redeploy those 3. All right. That makes a little bit more sense. Does it make more sense than Rights of War? I don't know. But it lets you deploy the Infiltrators really aggressively to screen out turn 1 deep strikes, and then if you don't need them, they just redeploy into a better position. It also lets you threaten a lock on forward objectives really safely. So you can put them on a forward objective, and then if you go second, you pull them back to like an advancing range of that objective. But you can threaten that they lock in, and then they like run towards your opponent's objectives. And if they get like a 7 or 8 inch charge, sometimes they take an objective permanently for yourself, and then they charge onto an enemy objective and like prevent banners or something. It gets really annoying. And then a bunch of desolators. So 2 units of 5. All super cracks and castle and launchers. I streamed a game over the weekend with a super frag unit, and it did not seem that useful. The super cracks seem incredible. 3 Devastator Squads with grab cannons and a multi-melta, and then the Eliminators with las fusils and the drop pod. I like that. Yeah. No forward deploy. No right support is really interesting. It's mostly because it starts like it affects your Vanguard veterans. It affects your Stern Guard veterans. I love these Stern Guard veterans, by the way. We're running combi meltas, so you get 3 combi meltas and 2 multi meltas, and they can go in the drop pod alongside a Devastator Squad if they want to. So you can the Devastators can like multi melta the close thing, grab something longer, and then you get the 12-inch range for the Devastator multi-melta, and then all of the Vanguard veteran units. That unit's highly underrated, I think. The Stern Guard veteran. It's weird in Iron Hands because there's not really a synergy between the Melta and the Iron Hand Super Doctrine, but I think they're so efficient it doesn't really matter. A nice place for them, I think, is maybe Salamanders. The weird bit is that you lose out on the buff to multi-meltas. So your multi-meltas are way less consistent, but your combi melters are way, way better. Also, you're cheaper, right? I don't think they still have to pay for their multi-meltas, but you could take combi meltas for free, if I remember correctly. You lose attacks, obviously, but I think you're 20 points less. Oh, no, their multi-melt is free. Oh, okay, never mind. Just take multi-meltas. Just kidding. It's only the Devastator when they cost anything. Wow, that's an oversight. Okay. Squad's amazing. Holy crap. Why does anyone take Devastator squads? I guess they are better. But the Stern Guard veterans. It's like a Devastator light, basically. So good. Leagues of Votan from Fitz Peters over here at the same event. Ymir Conglomerate. We have double Hearthguard, one with Warp Strike. Okay. All in on Hearthguard, I guess, today. A Brokir Forge Master with Master Armorer. High Call with Long List and the... and Grudge's End. Yep. 3 units of Hernkin Pioneers, a unit of Brokir Thunderkin, and 2 Hecaton Land Fortresses. So I think if we were to identify 2 winners from this weekend that were a little bit unexpected, I would say the Tyranids are number 1 because they hit 2 5-0s this weekend, which is wild. But then Leagues of Votan went, going from being like a really, really underpowered faction, at least in terms of the statistics, to putting up some results this weekend, which is super cool. Asuryani, though. Look at all these Asuryani results. Like, holy shit. Calm down. All right. Let's move. Down Under, 40k Major. This was a 100-person, I think. Down from Australia. We'll move. We'll go from the bottom up this time. We have World Eaters. It's only 5 8-bound and a Terminator squad. That's cool. So we have a little bit of shooting. Bunch of combi meltas in the mix. The 3 Chaos Spawn to give up Blood Tithe points. 1 War Dog Brigand so you can actually shoot something. It's also got a Havoc launcher on him. I love that. A Chaos Rhino to keep some Khorne Berserkers in. Triple Khorne Berserkers. 1 unit of Jackals. Lord Invocatus. Normal stuff. The Terminators is nice to see. Good to see them back on the table. They really got overshadowed by 8-bound in a huge way. And losing Red Butchers to make it a strat that 8-bound can use is a little bit weird. Wish that the World Eaters Terminators had a little bit more like uniqueness with them, but maybe 10th edition. Christopher Art playing Space Wolves. How many Meltaguns do you think we see in the Space Wolves list, chat? I'm taking bets right now. Desolation squads are BS. They're BS2 on their Venger Launcher guy. I think they are extremely good, but they're so matchup dependent though. Like I'm playing Tyranids right now, right? And like Tyranids, 90% of the army is big units. It's like tough models, and I haven't played the matchup too much, but I really am not like that worried about Desolation squads. But I think any of the T3 armies that are running like these 10 model T3 units just get vaporized by them. It's so insane. And obviously the Venger Launcher is good in almost every matchup. It's got like a really good mid-range profile. But the fact that they're like so skewed one way or another is insane. So I was talking to some people over the weekend and they were like, well, how do you beat Astra Militarum? And it's like, well, you bring like 15 Desolation Marines, they're like kind of all-rounders because they have a good ranged attack and then they have a great indirect fire into low toughness stuff. And they're like, well, what if you had Dark Angels and your Desolators, you suddenly have like these 200-point units that do literally nothing. They shoot a Venger Launcher and they kill one enemy at Desolator and then that's it. That's all they do. So it's like, in order to beat Astra Militarum and like Eldar and stuff, you are skewing really hard into more Desolators that just like ruin your matchups in a bunch of other situations. So it's so weird. It's so interesting. And I think people's opinion on Desolation squads probably depend almost entirely on what faction that they're playing. We counting down numbers over here? 27? 27 Desolators? Love that. We're talking about multi-meltas? Alright. Or meltas in the Space Wolves list? Alright. I'm gonna say this one, I haven't looked at this list before. This one feels a little bit off. Well, let's see. We can already see a Captain and a Chaplain, and it's 1 combi melta. I'm gonna say 21. I'm lowballing. We'll see how we go. So the captain and the chaplain, 2 infiltrators, 2 aggressor squads. Is it 10 model scouts? No, it's a 5er. So there's 1 meltagun, there's 2 meltaguns, and 2 more. So that's 5 meltaguns so far. The Space Wolf ones have the weird one because they have an old legacy model with a plasma pistol. So Space Wolf scout squads get a plasma pistol in them, which is super bizarre for no reason. So it's 3 scout squads. Oh my god. Oh, there's also a Wolf Guard squad over here with jump packs. I might have miscounted here, chat. So it's 6 more, so that's 7. Each Skyclaw squad is 3. They didn't take the second combi melta. What? Insane. So that's another 9. So 16. And then 3 more. So 19. Chat, 19. It's only 19 meltaguns. It's because we didn't have these extra ones. Yeah, plus these. Oh, did we count these? I don't know if we did. Let me recount. It might be 24. So 1 plus 6 is 7. Plus 5 is 12. Plus 9 is 21. Plus 3, yeah, 24. It was 24 the whole time. 24? Who's closest to 24? Posen! Posen wins all of our admiration for being only 2 multi-guns off of the target number. Way too low. Yeah, I mean, like, some of them don't really matter, right? Like, I don't know if you... How often do you get to use the multi-gun in a long fighting squad? I guess every once in a while if you Cunning of the Wolf them. I'm interested to see the Skyclaws not having them, but I understand the impetus. Are we in a pure army or are we Master Artisans? We're Born Heroes. Okay, that's fair. So, if you're running Born Heroes instead of Artisans, you're more incentivized to get the big powerful melee weapons. So the Skyclaws are like, they're a melee unit that are shooting on the way in. They're not going all the way for shooting when you take like Master Artisans for the reroll. I'm interested. The Scout squads are interesting. We do have 2 Landspeeder Storms to keep 2 of them, to bring 2 of them on. And then I guess the last one just reserves, just strategic reserves. Now Space Wolves, I think Scouts actually just outflank normally, right? Come on, Scout datasheet. Show me that outflank. They do, yeah. So they just get... So you put 2 of them in the Landspeeder Storms, and then the last one comes in off the table edge. They're interesting because they're any table edge. They're not strategic. They don't strategic reserve on. So you lose the ability to come in off your own edge, any distance from enemy models, but you get every table edge from turn 2 onwards. You don't have to wait until your strategic reserve distance improves. Yeah, Salamanders have always kind of been... Like, Salamanders want to be the Melta faction, but they're really way better on Flamers. Just because auto... Like, +1 to wound as an overarching ability is just better on high-volume attacks, right? Like, it's good on Meltaguns. Don't get me wrong. It's really good. But, like, when who would you rather have +1 to wound on? 5 Strength 8 Meltagun shots or, like, 40 Strength 4 Flamer shots? And the answer is the Flamers basically every time. The damage output from Salamanders is just much more consistent that way. But they don't have the same access to combi meltas that Space Wolves do. Or to melty guns. Actually, it is combi meltas for the most part. That Space Wolves do. So it's funny that Space Wolves don't have any like internal synergy with melta guns. They just buy them more easily, I guess. They like the Fang, like on the basement of the Fang has a melta gun like workshop in it, like a Meltagun factory. There's just a bunch of like wolf themed tech priests down there, like who just all their whole job is manufacturing Meltaguns all the time. And that's why that's the lore that I've decided on. All right, moving on. Matt Morris Holy, the man, the myth, the legend. Running another interesting list. Holy crap. So we saw horde mode demons, right? Now it's time for speed demons. We have Scarbrand, a Fatescamer, and a Transweaver. It's so interesting that the Lord of Change has fallen so far off. We did watch the Lord of Change get shot to death earlier over the weekend, which was very interesting. Super bizarre. Let's see. Devastating Blow, Indomitable Onslaught, King of Blades, Bloodthirster, love that guy. Scarbrand, the great man himself. Such a good late gamer, Scarbrand is. He's just like weird because he dies instantly sometimes. But if you just demonic manifest him after your opponent's like killed the Bloodthirster and he just fights on turn 4 and 5, then sometimes he closes the game. He's a little bit small, but if you're running like 60 other models that are super fast, I guess it's fine. Like the downside of Scarbrand is if you kill the rest of his army, he can't really hold the game by himself. But if you make that difficult just because of the mass number of demon infantry that you have, it's probably okay. So 30 Demonettes, 10 Pink Horrors for the backline holding. Ooh, I'm going to sneeze 1 sec. Oh my gosh. I apologize, everyone. 10 Pink Horrors to hold the backline objective. They're just really hard to kill with shooting, so they just chill in the back for a while. 3 units of 3 Fiends, a unit of 3 Flamers, and 2 units of 5 Fleshhounds and a unit of 5 Seekers. So it's basically this, besides the Pink Horrors and Scarbrand, basically everything in the army moves 10 or more inches. And the Pink Horrors are a utility unit for objective holding. And Scarbrand is going to teleport, so it doesn't really matter. Seems good. Seems good. And the interesting thing that demons have going for them is that a lot of times when you're running these, and the reason that they run horde mode better than most other factions, is a lot of times in a horde list, you're so voluminous, you're so big, that you can't actually hide a lot of your units. Like, you don't have optimal deployments for a lot of them. But because of demonic manifestation, you can either get relatively consistent charges at a deep strike against low leadership enemies, or you can just charge with your units who are on the table to begin with, and then replace them with units coming out of reserve. So because you can reserve your whole army, and your flexibility, like your positional flexibility with them is like super strong, you can it doesn't matter so much because half your army is just like, you're going to lose the units that are taking your opponent's objectives away, so you can just replace them with units coming out of reserve. You don't actually have to hide your whole army on turn 1. And unlike a lot of armies who rely on strategic reserve to do that, or deep strike, it's harder to screen like deep strike is. And it is plus you're fast, so you can deep strike out of charge range and just not go for the charge in turn 1. That's not something that like Space Marine Terminators can do, for example. You like deep strike in like Deathwing Knights or something, and you're not gonna be like, oh, I'll walk next turn. No. If they're not in the fight already, they're never gonna get into the fight. These guys are move 10, so they're going way faster. But the other benefit is you don't have to come off table edges like you would if you strategic reserved. So you can go back into your ruins with your follow-up deployments. And you see really good demon players will use their deployments not to just like get charges on people and disrupt their objectives that turn. They'll use them to set up for next turn's charges, which is really cool. Sounded like it hurt? No, it didn't hurt. It was just a sneeze. Scarbrand delivering +1 attack for the World Eaters matchup, so they get even more attacks. Oh, like this, so the World Eaters models do? Choice. Not that World Eaters have trouble killing demon units, right? Like, as the demon player in that matchup, you're not here. You're here for a good time, not a long time, right? Like, you and the World Eaters player are both like playing the same game plan. You're like, I'm gonna charge your unit, right? And it's gonna die. And then you're gonna charge my unit, and then my unit's gonna die. But I'm gonna have objective secured your objective away because you have garbage obsec. So you're gonna get no primary points. You're gonna get 100 secondary points. You'll get 45 secondary. I'll get 45 primary, but I have reality rebels. So at least my secondary is also fine. And that feels like how that matchup goes. I don't know, though. I haven't played Demons in a while. I have a sneaking suspicion also that, like, Flamers are probably really, really good against World Eaters, too. World Eaters don't have any way to get around Overwatch, right? Besides, like, charging people with rhinos or whatever. And the Flamers don't auto-hit anymore, but if you can get them rerolls, you can get them rerolls from Be'lakor, who I imagine also World Eaters have trouble with. Unless they Red Butchers him, and then it's probably fine. The problem is that... Oh, I guess he doesn't reduce damage in melee. Never mind. So they're actually probably really good against him. He's like, you can't reroll against me. And they're like, okay, I wasn't rolling anyway. I just have 8 attacks a model. I was thinking about him in the Chaos Space Marine matchup. He was super strong because everything wounded him on 6s in that matchup. But that's not the case for World Eaters. Everything gets a billion extra strength than World Eaters. So he probably just dies. But you can give full rerolls to the Flamers. And if the Flamers can set up in defensible terrain, they can hit on 5s full rerolling. And they probably just burn most of a unit down on the charge. If you can't eat the Overwatch or something. Which seems good. Anyway, we got some Rusted Claw to talk about. So Rusted Claw, +1 save against 1 damage, if I remember correctly. But I will fact check myself there. I saw it's man, Genestealer called sub factions are so interesting because they're like they largely all see play. Like we see a lot of Twisted Helix, we see a lot of custom sub faction, we see Rusted Claw every once in a while. It's ignore AP1 and or -1 AP to AP1 and 2. So ignore AP1, AP2 becomes AP1. So it's not quite all as dust. It's a little bit different. And then they can shoot. They can advance and shoot. They move, advance, and shoot without penalty. So that's a little bit of industrial affinity action if you're taking the heavy weapons. But we also saw a little bit of Pauper Princes popping up because they have a lot of like defensive technology. They can make Neophyte hybrid bricks like impossible to kill with invulnerable saves and damage ignores. And then obviously we see Rusted Claw apparently occasionally. Go 6-0. Let's go. I think that's mostly... It feels to me that the Genestealer cult game plan is very consistent, and it's just that each subfaction applies like a little bit of a buff. It's like one of those graphs you see that's like a circle, and then it has points at different edges, and it sort of morphs itself. That's what it doesn't feel like you have different lanes for each subfaction. It feels like the subfactions just shift the game plan a little bit. All right, so 30 Neophyte hybrids. Here's a bunch of seismic cannons. One with a bunch of shotguns. Ooh, my music turned off, chat. What the heck? Looks like 3 units of 5 Acolyte hybrids, the 10 Pure Strain Genestealers, 2 units of 5 Adelant Jackals, 3 Goliath Rook Riders, 3 Goliath Trucks. So we can advance and shoot the seismic cannons, right? They get a benefit to Adelant Jackals. When they move, they can throw grenades for a CP. It's okay. And then we just have a bunch of trucks. A bunch of real tough trucks. We have a from every angle, so 1 Goliath truck can strategic reserve on the first turn. That's kind of cute. I wonder if we're just jumping out the hand flamer brick and like blowing something up on turn 1. And the Pure Strain Genestealers do not have a proficient planning upgrade, so I imagine they go in the second Goliath truck, and it just deploys on the line basically out of line of sight after the first turn. So then the Pure Strain Genestealers, they don't need the forward deploy. They just disembark and charge if they need to. The Red Angel army does have anti-Overwatch. Yeah, that's fair. Nobody plays that one, though. Poor Angron. He's just gotten overshadowed by Invocatus. So that's interesting. Good stuff. Pretty normal stuff over here at Perils of Geekery. We saw Dan Salmons with Iron Hands to get that Singleton Acolyte back again. Rights of War on the Reaver Lieutenant, 2 Infiltrators, Scouts, 2 Vanguard Veteran units. That's interesting. It's nice to see that we're putting some melee back into the Space Marine army. So we have 15 Vanguard Veterans. That's going to combat squad to 3 units of 5. 2 Landspeeder Tornadoes, a Suppressor Squad. Triple Desolators, chat. We're back. Let's go. 185 points a unit. It's a pretty penny right there, but it's certainly worth it. A Gladiator Reaper. Landspeeder Storm for the Scout Squad, and then 2 Devastator Squads with triple grab and multi-melta. It's like the normal build now. 15 Desolators though. Yeah, we're in the Desolator meta now, everybody. Take a look at Brock Bowman over here with World Eaters. Running standard World Eaters. Bunch of characters though. Master of Executions. And a Lord on Juggernaut with the Berserker Glaive. I don't know if I've ever seen a World Eaters player pay for a relic. I don't even know what any of the relics do. As bad as it sounds. Just because they usually front load with infantry so that they can score more Blood Tithe points. So the World Eaters relics give you the Berserker Glaive, which is a it'd be it's supposed to strength AP 3, 2 damage, so I think it goes to strength 7, unless the World Eater's Lord is higher base strength. Oh, he is. Holy shit, he's strength 6. Okay, so he goes to strength 9, and it gets Tesla hits. So every 6 is 2 extra attacks. So he's 7 attacks, 8 on the charge. At strength 9, he probably gets... He averages like 3 extra hits per combat phase, per swing. So he averages... like not... after misses, like 9.5 hits. That's a lot. The dude just trucks a 2-wound infantry squad. For 125... This is, all right, I understand it now. That guy's actually sick. For 125, he's moved 10. We can just grab his data sheet here. He's moved 10. A 2+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, which doesn't matter so much. But he's base strength, toughness 6. Which, remember, he is in World Eater, so he gets +1 strength on the charge. So he goes to strength 7 base with 7 attacks. Yeah, why aren't people taking more of these guys? I guess he's like, he competes directly with a unit of, like, Exalted 8-bound, and he's not core. Oh, but he also has the +2 move aura. Is that the same as Invocatus' aura? It's the same aura, right? Oh my god, what the fuck? Yeah, it's called Leading the Charge. So they don't give out any rerolls, but they do give +2 movement. That's pretty good. So I guess you can... That lets you rocket Invocatus forward, because Invocatus affects himself with Rotovate Bloody Steps. Having a terrible time with these pop-ups right now, chat, with the keyword pop-ups on Waha. So he gets to provide, like, bring his +2 charge or +2 movement aura with the units that he's bringing, and that can be a problem. As we talked about when I interviewed Garrett from Watchers in the Dark, he said that the World Eaters player actually failed his charge turn 1 going first because he didn't bring Invocatus up with his units because he thought he would die afterwards. But having 2 lords actually just means you're not worried about that so much, because Invocatus doesn't do anything after the first turn, really. He's just a fighty guy. 2 units of 5 8-bound, 3 units of 3 Exalted, 3 units of Chaos Spawn, Chaos Rhino, the World Dog Executioner Squadron with guns, so we can actually shoot people. Love that. 1 Chaos Rhino, and we have a 10-man Berserker Squad in the Rhino, not 2 5s. Sick. Good stuff. All right. I like it. Yeah, that Smash character is really good. I actually really like that guy. All right, moving on. Midgard Grand Tournament. So this is the one I streamed. Go ahead and skip that. It's more Eldar stuff. It's Ulthway with a bunch of D-cannons. It's actually, I guess the interesting thing about it is that it is all in on Shroud Runners. So the whole idea is that it just alpha strikes you into oblivion. So, like, you go second, the Shroud Runners pregame move into... It's using U.S. open terrain, so they pregame move into the centrally placed ruins. Hopefully you can't kill them. Like, obviously, they play cagier if you can't reach them. If it goes first, they just move 32 inches into your deployment zone. It scores behind enemy lines immediately. It shoots a billion stuff to death. Once you doom, because it has Eldrad in it, Eldrad runs up the table. He's got a really consistent doom. Once he dooms something, 18 Shroud Runners shooting 42 shots per unit because of the sniper rifles. You know, it shoots 126 shots. Will kill most things. And then you have 3D cannons to follow up. Most of the games, the Shroud Runners were all dead by turn 2, but they had killed enough that nothing could really touch the D cannons, and the D cannons closed everything out. Pretty good stuff. Just all damage all the time. Also, shout out to triple Phoenix Lord, by the way. Azurmen, Behareth, and Karandras. Pretty cool. All right, moving on. We got our first Tyranids to talk about. Fool's Errand. Ozzy Milosh, 5-0 with Tyranids. Running Naturalized Camouflage, Highfleet Gorgon. So Highfleet Gorgon gets the 4+ poison and everything. Naturalized Camouflage, +1 save and cover. 2 Hive Tyrants. It's a Balethorn Cannon and Shard Gullet. I'm so interested by these builds because I've had no success with double Hive Tyrant. Maybe I should play it. Should I just rock double Hive Tyrant, chat? I could make it work. I could make it happen this weekend, probably. I'm signed up for an event this weekend. But I've just... Like, nobody walks into their line of sight. I don't know. I just don't understand. Swarmlord has felt much better for me every time. We do have a Tyranid Prime, so we get reroll 1s to hit or to wound off the Tyranid Prime. Plus, you get the Exploding 6s Imperative. How many Imperatives do we have access to? Just 2. Or just 3, because we have 1 Neurothrope. A little light on Psychers. 2 units of 15 Hormigons. So the fun stuff there, obviously, is that the Hormigons can get... do we have a direct guidance? We do, yeah. On the Hive Tyrants. So we can give them +1 to hit, reroll 1s from the Hive Tyrants, reroll 1s to wound from the Tyranid Prime. They have 3 attacks each, so it's 45 attacks from the unit. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, and then you can cast the Gorgon power on them so that their 6s do mortal wounds in addition. So most, like, 10-ish wound, even heavy infantry, they just die to mortal wounds when the Hormigons hit them. Because, like, they'll take 6 damage from the mortal wounds pretty consistently, and then they'll also force, like, 15 saves on them at AP1. So they'll kill, like, 10 Space Marines, no problem. And then overrun into really annoying places. Because they're super fast, they're 10-inch move, and then they overrun, they can, like, jump on... They can, like, charge a unit on objective, kill it off the objective, and then overrun to a second objective and break that one, too. So the primary objective control from the Hormigons is really, really strong. Unfortunately, they're, like, a CP hog. That's where all your command points go. Because they also... They're advanced in charge if they don't do a natural advance. They have an advance in charge for 8+8 inches. And they... or for flat 6 inches and charge and advance and charge naturally. But that costs them a CP. And then if they want to overrun after that, that costs them a second CP. So it takes a lot. 3 units of Pyro Force. The Pyro Force are really coming back, chat. Oh, man. They are super tough to kill with Naturalized Camouflage. They're 3+ save, so they go to a 1-up in melee, or in cover. So they're super tough to kill. And then they just have awkward numbers of wounds. I think they're 5 wounds each on the Pyrovore. But then they also just... If they're shooting at non-vehicles, in Gorgon, they have, like... This is just a ridiculously efficient damage output. They're either 2d6 strength... or 2d6 AP1, 1 damage, or 1d6 AP2, 2 damage. So they have good profiles into everything. But if you're a vehicle, obviously, they kind of suck. But that's fine. They're only 120 points a unit. Yeah, they're T5 5 wounds and a 1-up save and cover, which is pretty sick. Sometimes you see Tyrannocytes with them also. 2 units of Venom Thropes. Now that's interesting. We're just forcing fight loss on people, I guess. I don't know. It's alright. It feels like overkill, but I guess like in a universe where Desolation Squads are a real problem, 2 units of Venom Thropes seems useful, I guess. And maybe if you're worried about like Guard Mortars killing them. And then 2 Tyrannofexes, both with Flesh Borer Hives. Again, these lists are really good against big non-vehicles, but if you hit big vehicles, you just kind of fall over and die. You're just hoping that your Hive Tyrants have enough damage output to kill like a Knight army, and then you probably don't. Like, if this list hits knights, it just loses, which is unfortunate. You really need Swarm Lord, I think, to kill knights. It's a ton of strength 5, like strength 4 and strength 5 shooting, which is whatever. But there you go. Can't see Fantasia Fanatic. Yeah, I don't know anything about that chat, unfortunately. We also got a bunch of Azure Yanni in this event. Some Hail of Doom action going on. Bunch of Dire Avengers. Bunch of Wind Riders. Kind of normal stuff. That one also went 5-0, so the Tyrants didn't have to deal with that, which... it's actually probably not that bad of a matchup for High Fleet Gorgon. They have enough counter shooting. It's pretty good. And then Oathway. You're kind of in two camps if you're playing Eldar. I guess three if you count Ynnari as part of the Azure Yanni sort of faction. Because you're either in Ynnari, or you're in Oathway, or you're in Hail of Doom. But it's nice that they have at least Hail of Doom and Oathway are basically like the same power level. I think it's just like sort of what you want to focus on. Do you want to focus on the high volume shooting, or do you want to focus on being like Trixie and doing shooting D-cannons at people? Although this list is very Aspect Warrior centric. Holy shit. I wonder how many points this Riley over here scored on Wrath of Cain every game. So he's got Barry, old Behareth over here, Eldrad, a Farseer Skyrunner, 2 units of 5 Rangers, 2 units of 5 Howling Banshees, 1 with Crone Scream, and 1 with Piercing Strike. Normal stuff. Striking Scorpions with Crushing Blows. A Warlock Skyrunner with Quicken. Oh, no Quicken. Protect. All right, fair enough. Do we have a Quicken anywhere? No. So the other benefit of Eldar is that you get the Ghost Helm of Alishazir. Oh, yeah, it's on the Farseer Skyrunner. So normally what happens is that you run the Ghost Helm guy into the middle, you score Warp Ritual or Psychic Interrogation, and then you quicken him away. And it doesn't seem like that's happening here. Interesting. We're just... I mean, sometimes you just, like, plan on scoring your late game, to be fair, also. Let's see. 2 units of 3 Shroud Runners, 5 Warp Spider, 2 units of 5 Warp Spiders. One of them has the Spider's Bite and Web of Deceit. Now, I gotta look up these. So, Web of Deceit allows you to redeploy. So, you pull off the table and redeep strike once per game, which makes them very good at, like, behind enemy lines and stuff, because they can dive in on turn 1. You just deploy them normally, and then they can pull off and jump into your opponent's deployment zone if they're not screened correctly. And Eldar, I love when you screen, because then they just... Like, these big Wind Rider, this big, huge Shuriken Cannon Brick just picks up whatever your screens are and then runs away with Fire and Fade. They just get to like, kill stuff for free. Let's see. What is it called? Spider's Bite? So it is a relic melee weapon. Plus 2 strength, AP 4, 2 damage. So is that strength 5? Yeah, they're base strength 3. So strength 5, AP 4, 2 damage, and gets plus 1 strength on 6s. And the Warp Spider Exarch, he's only 3 attacks though. That doesn't seem that good. I guess. These 3 base attacks, your Power Blades give you plus 1, but the Spider's Bite doesn't have that ability. Alright, well, to each their own, I guess. Huh. Oh, Quicken's on the bottom. You're right, chat. I'm used to Battle Scribe loadout where no Force Org is at the top. I didn't even see that there was no Force Org stuff at the bottom. Okay, so there's 2 Seer Councils. So he's doubled up on Quick and Restrain. And 65 points for a 16 move Psyker with a double move, a potential double move is like so sick. And Smite. Oh my god. That's just such solid value for those guys. Plus they have like a 4-shot gun and a 2+ poison melee weapon. Like, Skyrunners are so sweet. I would give up so much assassination if I played Eldar. I would run like Kurnos Bow Farseer, 3 Phoenix Lords, and like 3 Seer Council Skyrunners. I feel like how many characters do you have? I'm like, I don't know. I give up like 24 on assassination. Don't worry about it. Like, you'll get it. I don't care. I'm gonna cast Smite a bunch of times. That's sick. I love that. Planning an Imperial Agent army. Can it be done? It can. It can, right? Is it good? No. Can it be done? Yes. Let's take a real quick gander through the Agents of the Imperium section here. So the problem that you have is filling compulsory slots. I think you just repeat like Navy Breachers or Voids Men at Arms probably. Voids Men at Arms are only 40 points a unit. Or you take Singleton Acolytes, I guess. Your problem is killing anything with like a pulse, basically. Yeah, anything that's like T higher than like toughness 5. There's really nothing in pure Agents of the Imperium that deals with it. Like you can like poke stuff with assassins. And Inquisitors, you can get like a bunch of Psychers if you take a bunch of different Inquisitors, but none of the actual units have like guns, which is unfortunate. It would be nice if they just included like a Inquisitorial Land Raider. It's just like I don't know. If you're full Agents of the Imperium, you can take a thing with a bunch of las cannons on it. Just like so, if you wanted to play a bunch of breachers in it, you could do that. But it is what it is. You're not. The intention really isn't really to play one, but you certainly can. Give up so much assassination, especially with Harlequin allies. Oh yeah, that's true. Because you're always like, oh, I'll take also the Smash Master and a Shadow Seer for like Mirror Mines, Shards of Light, and a Sweet Death Jester. So like 3 there, and I've like got like two Warlocks, 3 Phoenix Lord, or like 2 Phoenix Lords, Eldrad, and a Farseer. You're like, oh no, that's too many characters. Oh no. Since they announced that boarding patrol box, if they want to do an Agents of the Imperium army, I wouldn't put money on it. With the new detachment rules, I think you'll probably need, like right now with the current list building archetype, you can, as long as you just string together a bunch of keywords, you can kind of do whatever you want. But if list building gets reserved for detachments, and you need a detachment to play a particular faction, then I think it's unlikely that we'll see like random, you know, Enrathi or Aeronautica Imperialis and that stuff like getting detachment rules. It could be that you could play it, you just lose like any faction ability whatsoever, which, I mean, you're kind of in the same boat where you're like, well, I guess it's technically playable, but should you do it? No, for sure not. It's important to keep in mind too that boarding action is like kind of fundamentally a different game from Warhammer 40,000. It uses a lot of the core mechanics, but also it changes a lot of them, and the army building's entirely different. So, like every factions have different sets of faction abilities and availability of stratagems and stuff. It's not really like too applicable across the board. All right. GT Lagronio was also won by Tyranids. Now, this is a little bit interesting, and I'll probably talk about this in my video I do about them. But Paradox here was the TO for the event, which I don't really like, necessarily have anything about. But it was also there was also like some what's the word filler player names in the GT. So it was like the results were padded a little bit. It was still like probably 28 people, I think, but it said it was a 32-person GT, but it wasn't. Honestly, though, people keep doing that to pump their player numbers, and it really isn't necessary anymore since ITC changed how they score events. Events are now they're just strictly weighted based on the actual number of players you have. You don't have to achieve a threshold. So back in the day, like a year or two ago, if you hit the 32 plus size, if you were 28 plus, you were a GT, I think. And if you hit if you hit 64 plus, you were a major. And so people would like pad they would have like 61 people and then like pad 3 extra people in, or like put themselves in and like not play and drop immediately or something. And you don't have to do that anymore. It just means that the final player, the ITC points the players get are going to be like incrementally smaller if the event is smaller, but by probably like 1 or 2 points or something if you're missing like one person. So it's really not necessary to pad your events out anymore, but it is what it is. All right. So we're at this time we're at Territorial Instincts Hive Fleet Gorgon. So Hive Fleet Gorgon's really coming out as like everybody's favorite right now, and it certainly does make Hormagaunts good. Man, if Hormagaunts were more fun to play, that'd be amazing. They're so fast, which is cool, but they're so inconsistent, and their models are just terrible. It's unfortunate for them. That said, we are, let's see, we're running the Shard Gullet Hive Tyrant and Swarm Lord. I love to see it. So we're really more Hormagaun focused this time. So Territorial Instincts giving the Tyrant's objective secured, and then also the Tyrannofexes, and then Parasite of Mortrax for Alien Cunning in there. It could have been a Neurothrope. Sag. So 3 Tyrant Guard to protect the Hive Tyrant. Swarm Lord's in there. A Shard Gullet Hive Tyrant's in there. Since I swapped from the Shard Gullet Hive Tyrant to Maw-Claws Hive Tyrant, I've just like felt so much better about my life. The Shard Gullet Hive Tyrant late game's like an absolute dumpster. Like he's just, and like in a bad dumpster, like a dumpster where you throw your garbage because you don't want it anymore. He's kind of like that energy. But the Maw-Claws Hive Tyrant late game's like a Chad. He kills like half the board by himself if your opponent can't deal with him. And then we have 45 Hormagaunts, a bunch of Pyrovores, and then 2 Tyrannofexes. These ones running Acid Sprays. So weird. So both lists are running like basically similar stuff, right? A bunch of Venom Thropes, like double or triple Pyrovores, and then double Hive Tyrant. But then like, all of the specifics are different, right? Like the Tyrannofexes have different guns. The Hive Tyrants have different loadouts. There's like a Parasite of Mortrax instead of a what do you call it? A Tyranid Prime. So you don't get the reroll ones in the Hormagaunts, but you get your late game much better on objective holding. Good stuff. Anyway, it's pretty interesting. Let's see. Open War GT. We had Astra Militarum. Skipping it. Who cares? World Eaters. This one's interesting. So this is Andy. This is Seabiscuit. He hangs out in the Discord sometimes. Running 25 Corn Berserkers. 3 units of 5/8 bound, 3 units of 3 Exalted 8 bound, 3 Chaos Spawn, 2 Chaos Rhinos to keep the Berserkers in. and Lord Mikado. So mostly normal stuff, but we've like sort of focused a little bit more heavily on berserkers themselves. There's no guns to speak of, but 25 corn berserkers is really, really scary. These guys get 1 CP fight on death, so they are terrifying to try to deal with, especially inside transports. You just run that army across the table and like hope for the best. Got some more Genestealer cult to talk about. This one running Pauper Princes. Hey, we talked about Pauper Princes a second ago. That's sweet. Yeah, so the Primus here with the Reliquary of St. Tendark. This one, I kind of feel like this relic flew under the radar a little bit. It gives a 5+ invulnerable save. I'm going to double check myself there. They can source, I believe, if they stack all their buffs on top of each other, they source a 5+ damage ignore on top of a 5+ invulnerable save, and these units just become ridiculously hard to kill. Yeah, so it's a 5+ invulnerable save for the Reliquary within 6 inches, and then we're taking Alien Majesty, which increases the range of the aura. And then that's interesting. The psychic power for them gives them they reflect mortal wounds in melee on a 5+, which is kind of sweet for big bricks. So they're very much like the big brick army. They just want to have these like kind of really super tanky hybrid builds. 2 units of 5 acolyte hybrids. A unit of 10 acolyte hybrids with 4 heavy rock drills. And then here's the bricks. Yeah. 80 neophyte hybrids with all the fixins, Weber cannon, Weber guns, seismic cannons, auto pistols and stuff. The 10 pure strange sailors that they came from below, and 2 units of battle and jackals. Yeah. Oh, so sick. And that reliquary is just core units. So you lose out on the 6-up damage ignore on the Adelan Jackals from taking War Convoy, but you get a 5+ invulnerable save when it matters. Do we have an Icon Ward in this list? I would hope so. We do, so we can regenerate all those guys as well. So sick. Yeah. Pretty strong combo. So these guys will mostly just like put these huge brick as neophytes on objectives, and then you probably can't kill 20 obsec models with a 5-up ignore. And then also that are like reflecting mortal wounds onto you if you charge them, and then they're also shooting you a billion times. While doing all of the other normal stuff that Genestealer call to. Plus, these guys get +1 to hit in melee on the first round of combat, so their rock drill units are like pretty lethal as well. Let's see. Moving on. Just a couple more ones to talk about. We have more Azure Yanni from Bristol Vanguard's Vanquish. This one's a Hail of Doom. Triple Dire Avenger, double Howling Banshee, triple Viper, triple D Cannon. Okay. A little bit less spammy than the last Hail of Doom we looked at. So there's no Wind Riders. We're just putting our faith in the Vipers, which are, I mean, extremely efficient, especially with the Scatter Laser. You're not upcharging for the Shuriken Cannon. So for 40 points, you get 10 shots on a model, and 4 of them are Shuriken with the Hail of Doom effect. A Wave Serpent. Not a Falcon, but we're probably keeping the Howling Banshees in there so they can disembark and then charge. And then Jane Czar, okay. Love it. So Jane Czar usually, she sees a lot of play alongside Behareth because she's relatively long threat range. So she and Behareth can both sort of steal objectives. They can steal objectives away from people at the end of the game. I don't know why I pronounced it so weird. And then a bunch of Dire Avengers to shoot people. The Dire Avengers are so strong. Once all the buffs are applied in Hail of Doom, oh my god, do they do insane-o damage. Ewan Thompson just killed 10 Night Lord Terminators with a Trigon Prime in 2 turns. Nice. That's good. That's good. Were they Slanesh Terminators with the 5-up damage ignore and the Illusory Supplication? That was what happened. So my game yesterday against Chaos Space Marines, like the Terminators lived forever with Illusory Supplication, and then as soon as it went down, the entire unit vaporized immediately. It's like, really? Turns out when you're -2 to hit and can't reroll, It's hard to kill a unit. So, we're running Vextrix today. So that is, if I remember correctly, the floating reroll for Chaos Knights. This is Sid Sidu. We're over in Warzone Wycombe. Wycombe? Wickham? Wickham? I bet that's Wickham. Just spelled funny. Yeah, so they get the old school Master Artisans reroll. So reroll, hit, and wound roll. So we're spamming War Dogs with that. Just as many War Dogs as we can get. A Blessing of the Dark Master on a Stalker. Helm of Dogs for the command phase buff on another Stalker, or for the Aura, excuse me. A Mirror of Fates for the damage, or for the CP regen on an Executioner. And then Rune of Fate, which is the they can cast. Is that right? Oh no, it reflects wounds on wound rolls of 6. Okay, that doesn't. And it reflects mortal wounds. That seems okay. It's funny how, like, I don't know, all of these, at least that effect especially, it feels like it scales very poorly with a War Dog. You want to be taking as many saving throws as possible to be able to reflect that, but it's unlikely to happen. And then we have one more Carnivore with the Veil of Midgard, so 4+ invulnerable save. And he is a Dreadblade running Frenzied Invaders. That one, I don't know what it does. We'll have to look that one up. Chat! Exploding 6s. Huh, okay. That seems pretty good if you give him the... Oh, it's the Helm of Dogs that gives him +1 attack. But you want that on a guy who's in faction, probably. Does it care about faction? No, it's just any War Dog. Yeah, so you could put it on the Carnivore, but we have it on the Stalker. Huh, okay. Because you want extra attacks in order to explode more, but seems fine. Good stuff. They were not. Yeah, that's fair. The Terminators were not protected by the Dark Apostle. That does make them much easier to kill. Terminators without the Dark Apostle really fall down really quickly. But imagine if they were T5 and did a 4+ invulnerable save. Ooh, so strong. All right, last but certainly not least today, chat, we have Battle for Los Angeles. Won by Dark Angels. Interesting to see if this is in any way an interesting Dark Angels list. Nope. There is one Invader ATV, so that's kind of cool. A regular bike squad with Thunderhammer and Melt-A-Gun, and a multi-melta with an attack bike. 2 more units of 3 attack bikes with multi-meltas. A unit of land speeder tornadoes. And then a Ravenwing Apothecary. 2 big units of Deathwing Terminators. Two Ravenwing Talon Masters, Azrael, and an Infiltrator squad. Okay. Those sure are Dark Angels units. Junior Aflahi coming out the gate with a 5-0 in Leagues of Votann. See, I told you that Leagues of Votann were going to get some play here. Oh, this list is spicy, too. Oh, sick. Look at this list, chat. Holy crap. Okay. So it has an End Here Champion with Exactor. So that's the Mass Hammer. The D3 +3 damage Mass Hammer that converts itself to Mortal Wounds on wound rolls of 6. And Warrior Lord, which is, I think that you can't ignore damage from his melee weapons, which now affects the Mortal Wounds as well. A High Call with Experienced Eye, or with... Yeah, Experienced Eye, right? That's the call thing where you get to move Judgment tokens around, is that right? And then a Second Call. The Second Call has Unrelenting Toil. Oh, it has Warp Strike, so he can teleport. And then he has the ability, or he has an aura that allows actions to complete without failing when you shoot. So I wonder if that's so the Hernkin Pioneers can scan objectives without things failing, because it is just core units, it's not infantry. Oops. So we just not have a Warlord trait on the Warlord? Oh, we do, right? Yeah, okay, it is the High Call Warlord trait. Excuse me, I must not have loaded or something. It wasn't giving me the Warlord trait when I was searching for it. So that gives him the extra the extra judgment token in the command phase. Is it long list that moves the judgment tokens around? It is, right? But this is just double judgment tokens. Love it. Okay, cool. We figured it out. And then we have 10 Hearthkin Warriors with a bunch of guns on them. A Magnum Rail Rifle and L7 Missile Launcher. 3 units of Hernkin Pioneers. These are 5ers, though. Oh, and a 6er. 2 6ers, 1 5er. Hot diggity damn! Whoa! That's sweet. So double rotary cannons on 2 of them. One has a single rotary cannon. A 2 Sagittor unit. So that probably splits the Hearthkin Warriors. So you can have a launcher unit and then also like the regular unit of normal idiots who do have actions and stuff. That lets you combat squad them. And then 3 units of Brokir Thunderkin. And a lot of times I think we'll probably... One might deploy in the deployment zone and just act as a counterpunch, but most of the time you use strategic reserve these guys. Because their guns don't shoot that far. The blast cannons only shoot 18 inches. So you want them to strategic reserve. And you can clear space with the Hernkin Pioneers. So the Hernkin Pioneers can kind of force your opponent back. They have to screen on turn 1, so the Hernkin Pioneers don't just like pregame move and then move into the deployment zone and kill them. So then you sweep all their screens on turn 1, and then turn 2 you can come on with the reserves and blow people up with the blast cannons. And this is the American Conglomerate as well. So I guess it's extra range on the guns as well. It's plus 3 inches of range. And then a bunch of just sweet characters to follow up. This list is cool. Danny Flehy, that's your brother? Congratulations to your brother. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a sweet list. It's nice to see a little bit of, difference between Leagues of Votann lists. Because like 90% of the time, right, it's like, well, it's the triple Hernkin Pioneers. It's like 3 units of 3 with 1 heavy weapon. It's, maybe some Sagittors, maybe some Berserks, and then like 2 Thunder Cannon and a Land Fortress. But it's nice to see, like, we've sort of left the vehicles at home. We're all in on big Pioneer units and big Thunderkin bricks, and that's cool. I love that. Last, but certainly not least today, we have Ben Urich with Orcs. X and 1 at Battle for Los Angeles. We're taking 2 war bosses. So a war boss and war bike and a beast boss. We're in Goffs, right? Yeah, so it's probably normal Goff stuff. 2 units of beast snag a boy, so I'm imagining 2 kill rigs. There it is, 2 kill rigs. Look at that. 15 Storm Boys, 2 units of 5 Squig Hogs, a truck. Do we have truck boys in this list? We don't. Truck's just to drop people off. 2 units of Commandos. The Knobs are truck boys, of course. They get their sweet, sweet Power Claws and Big Choppas. 17 points a model for a Knob. Holy crap. Eat your heart out, Intercessors. Are you kidding me? This big, like, strength 5 dude with a 2 damage weapon is gonna, like, absolutely show you up. So good. So, yeah, the truck boy, or the Knob squad can disembark after the truck moves. So that's a little bit of additional threat range, plus the 2 kill rigs with dudes inside. 15 Storm Boys, Dad Pressure, and then 10 Squig Hug Boys. Yeah, sort of normal orc stuff, just all-out aggression all the time. Bunch of casting as well. So this is actually, like, low-key really good at Warp Ritual, I bet. Because the kill rigs can cast themselves. They can perform psychic actions. And on top of that, you can also, like, character screen with them on the Weird Boys. The Weird Boy can just be going up and doing buffs. But he can also just Fist of Gork, the big characters, too. And they get real strong. But that is it. that is all that we have to talk about. That was all the lists, chat. Whoa, good stuff. Any interesting ones? Yeah, I think Leagues of Votann having multiple showings is pretty cool. Tyranids having multiple showings is pretty cool. I think we are in a situation where, like, no faction's really dead, right? Like, just Deathwatch, I guess. Imperial Knight's not doing so well, but they show up every once in a while. I don't know if there's anything else we really haven't seen for a while. Tau are kind of on the back. They're taking a back seat. Drukhari, I guess. Tau haven't shown up in a little bit. They pop up occasionally, but largely I think they just get outclassed by Astra Militarum, and that's unfortunate. Astra Militarum really need a nerf. They're kind of, I think Astra Militarum are like shaping the meta in a huge way. We wouldn't be in as much of this like indirect fire meta right now as we normally would if Astra Militarum had not been released in the state that they are. But it's interesting that we're seeing like these Eldar lists play without Night Spinners and the what is it, Doomweaver, the weapon platform. Because I know there was a push to take those to fight Astra Militarum as well for a little bit, because they fill a very similar role to the Desolation squads. But the Desolators are obviously much more efficient at it. They're so good at killing specifically 6+ model T3 infantry that's like the entirety of the Astra Militarum Codex. So you just need them to fight against that. Brother didn't get the award for best Xenos. They classified Votann as Imperium. I mean, yeah, that's weird. Xenos is like so nebulous. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, Xenos should be Necrons, Orcs, Tau, Tyranids, I guess. Do you even count Tyranids? I guess you count Tyranids. I think Eldar, the Eldar super faction, you could be best Eldari, right? Because you're Eldar, Drukhari, Ynnari, Harlequins. And you could probably also, like, split Imperium from Space Marines. You could be, like, best Space Marine and best Imperium player. And then Chaos, I guess, has a lot of factions in the super faction, but I don't know if a lot of them are highly represented. A lot of times they just mix together anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Chaos work in mysterious ways. But yeah, Votann's weird because, like, Xenos is basically just every faction without a super faction keyword or without a big super faction keyword usually. And Votann don't have a super faction keyword, so they're like Necrons and Orcs and Tau. But they can be taken as allies with Imperium. So it's like, I don't know. And I guess if you look at it from a fluff perspective, they are just humans, right? They're just humans who happen to be small. So, I don't know. It's weird. But that is unfortunate. I'm sorry for your brother. Anyway, chat. I think this is a good place to close things off. Thanks, everyone, for coming and hanging out with me. As we went back, we got back to our regularly scheduled broadcasting, talking about some super cool tournament lists. I've got an RTT this weekend. I might do a little bit of a tournament report on next Tuesday about it. It depends on how well we do. I don't know what to play, though. I think I'm going to take some time on Thursday and Friday and play some practice games and maybe play some new lists. I've been playing my Screamer Killer list. I'm tired of like just losing to Astra Militarum, though. I kind of want to play something that has a chance in that matchup, but I don't know if anything in Tyranids does. I've been playing Tyrant Guard spam for a while, kind of as a meme, and it was really, really good until it started hitting hard counters, and the hard counters are really hard for that list. Turns out if you run an entire army out of 4 wound infantry models, there are some armies that just kill you, so that's not great. So maybe I'll run some like Hormagaunts or something. I've never really been super impressed by the Hormagaunts, but clearly they're doing okay. So anyway, chat, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I've got a game against Space Marines, which should be fun. I think I'm playing Tyrant Guard spam in that game, so that should be an interesting time. And then the rest of the week, I'll probably just play practice games. I think we have some T5 S2 finals to schedule, but I'm not sure when that's happening. But otherwise, yeah. Stay tuned for some videos about... I got some tournament videos coming out. We're going to do the Tyranids one. I've got ones about sort of general play, I think in different terrain formats. And I've got, I want to do one about recapping demos and stuff that I took at Adepticon last week, which I'm kind of excited about. So that's what's coming up. And I'll see y'all later. Thanks everyone for chilling with me. Hope you enjoyed the coverage from this past weekend. I'll have more of that coming at the end of the month for the GT stuff. And otherwise, I'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.